What is going on, guys? What is going on, 27 squad? Welcome back into another video. We have our mock draft 2.0 today, post combine edition. We're gonna see guys fall, we're gonna see guys rise on these boards, and I'm gonna be coming out with my own now. This is gonna have some trades in it, not 2 rounds just yet. I'm still not I think I have like a couple more prospects before I'm really comfortable with doing a 2-round mock draft, but I think I got the first round kind of set in stone of what I feel like these teams are going to do, and these have 2 or 3 trades. I'm gonna be deciding on what I want to do with the last one, if I want to implement the last one or not. So let's get right into it. Before we start, as always, if you guys are enjoying the content, hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. And with that being said, let's go. So the first trade that we're gonna do is the most popular one you're seeing so far. It's with my New York Giants that you see in the background right there. The Giants are gonna be trading up to the #1 overall selection, swapping the 1st and 3rd overall picks, along with, now roll with me here, guys. Roll with me. I know the quarterback comes with a premium. When you want to jump up to get a quarterback, it always seems like it costs a lot more than it is. People are thinking that the Giants are going to have to give up their 2nd round pick and their 1st next year to jump up 2 spots because they're getting a quarterback. Guys, go back and look at these quarterback trade ups. It's not that bad. You guys got to relax. It's probably going to cost the Giants' 3rd overall pick and the 2nd next year to go from the 3rd to the 1st overall pick. And if the Tennessee Titans are a team that are out on quarterbacks this year, they just want the best player available, whether that be Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, with Cleveland pretty much coming out, and a lot of people are coming out and saying Cleveland are going to get a quarterback in this draft no matter who it is with the 2nd overall pick, whether that be Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. The Titans are guaranteed to get the same player that they would have gotten with the 1st overall pick. There's not much leverage there. Honestly, the Giants have the leverage because of where they're at, where the Titans can jump down to 3 and still get the guy that they want at 1. So honestly, it's not going to take another 1st round pick next year. No more 1st round picks in general. And I don't think it's going to take the 34th overall pick for the Giants either. I think this is kind of what we're going to see. I know that there is a talk with moving Harold Landry. A lot of people have mocked a trade with Harold Landry and Kayvon Thibodeaux. This can make a little bit of sense. I'm not fully on board with it, but the Kayvon Thibodeaux, you still have to take his 5th-year option. When you take his 5th-year option, you're going to be paying him a lot of money. And Harold Landry is more experienced right now as a pass rusher. You'll be paying him, I think, something around $24 million as well. If that happens, I don't know why the Giants would want to do it. I'm not going to include it in here. Not that it really matters, but I'm not going to include it in here because it's just a rumor that they want to move Harold Landry. I think at the end of the day, they might cut him, but I don't think it's something that the Giants are necessarily interested in. So that being said, we're just gonna rock with these picks. Maybe Tennessee, maybe we swap picks as well. Like, you know, I don't know, 134 and 142 or something like that. You know, maybe we do some sort of swap there, where they get, you know, a higher pick. It could be something like that to try to even out the compensation a little bit. But you know, we can just go on from there and start the draft. So obviously with the 1st overall pick, the New York Giants are going to select Cam Ward. I do think there is a big difference between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders as far as ceiling goes and how they can impact at the quarterback position in the NFL. I think the gap is getting wider and wider as the draft process goes along. We've seen Shedeur Sanders be talked about as the #1 quarterback in this draft all the way back in November, December, when the college season was still going on. And then as we've kind of gotten around to the process, we all watch film, we all talk about the prospects together. We're kind of seeing a little bit of a big drift between the 2 quarterbacks, where pretty much all 32 teams that everybody is talking about in the combine, that they've met with teams, they've all said Cam Ward is surefire the #1 quarterback in this draft. It may be a close race, but everybody has Cam Ward edging out Shedeur Sanders. Pause on that. All right. Anyway, Cleveland, #2 overall. I had this as Abdul Carter before, but I'm seeing news that Cleveland are going to take a quarterback no matter what at the second overall pick. So it looks like they're going to stick and pick with Shedeur Sanders. That gives Tennessee basically getting more draft capital and going down from the number 1 overall pick and still getting the guy at 3 that they would have gotten at 1, and that being Abdul Carter. So we're going to go Abdul Carter here. They need pass rush help. They want to get rid of Harold Landry. I don't know why. Maybe he's costing too much. I haven't really looked into it, but it seems like if they're not able to get a trade partner with Harold Landry, they're just going to get rid of him. They're just going to cut him. So it looks like he's not going to be a part of the team anymore. That team already has huge problems as far as edge rush goes and getting a pass rush. They need help. Abdul Carter, the best player in this draft, they get him at 3. All right, the New England Patriots, talk about killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Travis Hunter. Imagine Christian Gonzalez, the guy who shouldn't have fell to them at 17. I think they traded back up to get Christian Gonzalez. Somewhere around the 17th overall pick, somewhere around there. They drafted Christian Gonzalez, and I thought it was an absolute steal. I loved Christian Gonzalez. He was my number 1 corner in that draft, and I wanted the Giants to trade up and get him as he was falling. Now they got Travis Hunter to pair along with him, and on top of that, he can add a little bit of an extra boost to that offense as a wide receiver. He's not going to be full-time, of course. He will be primarily a cornerback, but he's going to add a little bit of juice to that offensive system as well for Drake May. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. This is a great pick for the New England Patriots who need help on both sides of the ball. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't see how you can go with any other pick but Mason Graham. There is, oh man, I kind of want it to be Ted McMillan, not only because I think it'll be good for Trevor Lawrence, but I just think Ted McMillan deserves to go this high. He's definitely deserving of a top 5 pick. I just feel like if Ted McMillan is not taken now, he is going to drop. I don't know why. I think he's one of the more talented wide receivers that come out in a while. Where I would rank him, I would have to go back and really go through it. He wouldn't be over guys like Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, but he's definitely in that range. Hell, if Corey Davis can get taken with a number 5 overall pick back in 2017 or something like that, Ted McMillan could get taken with the 5th overall pick, okay? And I think it's actually going to be worth it. So Mason Graham, I'm going to take though. It's just the most popular pick. It's just the pick that makes the most sense. If you don't go Mason Graham here, you trade down. I don't think there's anybody else really worth taking with the number 5 overall pick if it's not Graham. Let's go to the Raiders. They missed out on Shedeur Sanders. They're not able to get him at number 2. This kind of where I see Shedeur Sanders going. Although I have like a late first, early second round grade on him, I don't see him dropping past 6. I think the Raiders are that desperate at quarterback. But they don't have an option, so they have to go, some sort of offensive weapon to really boost that offense and help whatever quarterback is going to be playing for them in 2025. And your 2 options to me are pretty much Ashton Jeanty and Ted McMillan, and you got to go best player available and a guy that can really help out your quarterback and relieve some of that pressure. Ashton Jeanty. Go Boise State, baby. I never thought I would see the day. I'm a Boise fan. Never thought I would see a day that one of my guys, whoever it would be, in this case Ashton Jeanty, would be a top 10 pick in an NFL draft where Boise State's being represented, man. So shout out to Boise State. So let's go. The Jets at number 7. Man, the Jets can go in so many different directions. I don't even think they know for sure yet who they would prefer drafting. It all depends on how this board looks. They can go in so many different directions. They can go Ted McMillan, right? They're going to be losing probably Devontae Adams, maybe Alan Lazard. I mean, they really don't have much at that wide receiving core. They can use a guy like Ted McMillan. They can use a guy like Will Campbell. They can use a guy like Jedi Barron. They can use a guy like Tyler Warren, Malachi Starks, where their whole secondary are free agents right now. They can use so many different talents at the number 7 pick. So this is not a place where you want to trade down. You want to get the guy who you think is going to help your team the most right now. And I think personally, this is post-combine, so maybe we're coming off a little bit of a high right now. I'm going to go Armand Membu right now. Why? This makes absolute perfect sense. You drafted Olufashinu last year out of Penn State to be your future left tackle, where you have Tyron Smith, Morgan Moses. These guys are very old. They're stopgap guys until you can get replacements in. This is a perfect spot. Armand Membu, who is a career right tackle, the best right tackle in this draft, and he falls right into your lap at 7 after having one of the most amazing combines for an offensive lineman that we've seen in quite a long time, where his numbers were just absolutely off the charts. Over 330 pounds, running a 4.95 40. That's insane. His 10-yard split were absolutely insane. I think it was like a 1.74 at his size. It's insane. So Armand Membu, I think is a perfect fit for the New York Jets at number 7. They need a right tackle for the future. Morgan Moses won't be there forever. Whatever quarterback is going to be in there is going to be in great hands with Olufashinu and Armand Membu there. This is a perfect pick. Yes, they can go defense, but I'm not worried about their defense. They always find a way to figure it out on defense. They've always had a very stout, competent defense. They've got a lot of free agents on there as well. They'll find a way to fill it out. They really need to focus on their offense, because that's been a huge problem with them for as long as the Jets have been around. So Armand Membu there at number 7. Let's go to the number 8 pick. I know there's a lot of controversy with this player. There's a lot of controversy with a lot of the top edge rushers in this draft. However, I'm still going to stick the pick here. Mike Green, he's had an amazing draft process so far. You talk about what he did at the Senior Bowl, how he was able to make weight. That was the biggest problem that, as far as his game was concerned, he was listed at around 230, 236 or something like that as a playing weight, but he boosted it all the way up to 255, so that's no longer an issue. One of the more explosive edge rushers in this draft. I wouldn't say the most explosive. I think that belongs to James Pierce. We'll get into him a little bit later, but you could consider other positions here. I'm just not a Jalen Walker guy this high. I'll get into that when he's picked inevitably, but I like Mike Green here. I think Mike Green can go to a team that desperately needs a guy that's going to hit the ground running, not a guy that needs to learn pass rush moves, not a guy that needs to learn the whole freaking position, or not a guy that needs time to develop. Mike Green can go into Carolina and instantly make an impact and instantly be the best pass rusher on your team. So now let's move on to the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans, they love freaky prospects at defensive end. They love getting crazy with it. We're going to go Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart's an interesting prospect because where they got him listed at on PFF. They got him listed at PFF at 290. That was his playing weight this season in 2024. Well, at least that's what they were saying. 6'6", 290. The guy's damn near a defensive tackle. He is an absolute monster. He probably is the most athletic, explosive prospects I've ever seen at that weight in my entire life. I don't think we've ever seen somebody this freaky before. And pause on that. But you see what he did at the combine. You've seen how easy it was for him to drop all of that weight. He went to the combine getting listed at 267, dropping from 290. That shows that there's a lot of fluidity, flexibility with his game. Maybe his power is not there. We'll have to see how that translates to the field at 267, but it shows that he can fit any scheme you want him to do, and I think he can do it. Shamar Stewart is an absolute freak of nature. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to be enamored with that, and I think they're going to want to try to get as much out of him as they possibly can. And if they do, he will definitely be worth the 9th overall pick. Listen, they've gone in the first round and drafted a Peyton Turner. I didn't even know who that was going into the draft. I didn't even know who it was. So Shamar Stewart would definitely fit their wheelhouse. So let's move on to the Chicago Bears. Chicago can go in different directions. A really popular one was Ashton Jeanty at number 10, but unfortunately he's been taken to the Raiders. I'm trying to look at what I had it here. Okay, so we've seen Will Campbell, right? We've seen Will Campbell drop a lot post-combine. I started it, all right? I started it. Will Campbell dropped all the way to 12 for me to the Dallas Cowboys before the combine, okay? Before the combine, because I just don't know if he is a guard because of his play strength. I don't see him being a strong, powerful guard, and at the same time, he's got that short arm problem that I don't think is that much of a big of a deal, but NFL teams really pay attention to the arm length and stuff like that. He came in with like, what was it, 32-inch arms, maybe 31, around there. I can look at Broshmo. I might blur this just because I pay for this, so I don't want to give you guys game right now because I pay for this and I want to support the creator. But yeah, 32 and 5/8 arms, 9.5-inch hands. Like it's not great. It's not looking great for Will Campbell. He's probably going to be looked at as a guard, and I just don't know if he is one. So I'm going to go in a different direction here, and I'm going to take a guy who I will be confident in playing guard or tackle, and that's going to be Kelvin Banks. Now, you can do a lot with Kelvin Banks at number 10. You know, Braxton Jones, you can either get rid of him, put him inside, whatever. Braxton Jones is just not that good. Kelvin Banks could be your left tackle of the future, but if you really see him as an inside guy, he can do that too. He's an efficient mover. He moves pretty well. He's not the fastest, most explosive mover you ever seen, but he moves smoothly. He moves very efficiently, and he has the power to play inside. He's got the broad shoulders. He's got the wide base to play inside as a guard. I think he'll be just fine if you were to put him at guard. All right, San Francisco. Now, I got a little bit of a bone to pick with San Francisco fans, okay? Last year, you guys got on me for me constantly taking a wide receiver for you guys. Where were you guys at, like 29 or something like that? Very far down. And I had you guys like taking Vlad McConkey, guys like that. And everybody's saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. The 49ers would never take a wide receiver. They don't need a wide receiver. They got Ayuk over there. They got Deebo Samuel. They got Jawan Jennings, who came on a little bit last year. They have all these guys. We need cornerbacks. We need defensive line. What happened? Hey, what happened? What happened? No hate to 49ers fans. No hate at all, but I just know what I'm talking about. So, all right, let's go to what the 49ers need. They can go... they need to go defense. I think they need to go defense. Either that or offensive line. They can look for the future after Trent Williams. They can upgrade guard. Here's the problem, all right? The only top offensive lineman still available right now that's like kind of worth taking at this spot would be Will Campbell. The only problem is that are the 49ers willing to get a guy with those kind of short arms playing in that offensive scheme of what, you know, that wide zone where you need good reach, you need good arm length to meet the defenders before they meet you. You know what I'm saying? And play that wide zone. Is he ready to fulfill that as a left tackle or even as a guard? I think he has the movement to play in the scheme. I just don't know if he has the power nor the length to do so. I just don't know about Will Campbell being a good fit for the 49ers. So I'm going to have them going in a different direction here. They can go Jedi Barron after they are going to miss out on Travarius Ward. However, I'm going to go in a different direction. You guys may hate this pick as well. I don't care. I think he could be one of the best defensive interior guys in this draft over guys like Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant. I'm going to have the 49ers taking Derek Harmon. This guy is a menace on the interior. You know, you look at his stats, I know they're not great as far as sacks goes, but this guy is constantly getting into the backfield. If you look at what he did in the combine, he has 10 and 3/8 inch hands, 34 and 3/8 inch arms. That's a great arm length. Ran a 4.95 40 time, which is great. The guy's 6'5", 310. He runs insanely quick. I think he's a pass rush demon, and I think he would fit for the 49ers very, very well. So I'm going to take Derek Harmon here. I know a popular pick is Walter Nolan. I like Derek Harmon a little bit more than Walter Nolan. That's just me. That is just me. So, all right, the Dallas Cowboys. Look at the board. They can go in plenty of directions here. They can go Tet. They can go Will Campbell. But I'm going to have them going wide receiver, but I'm going to have them going a local kid out of the University of Texas, Matthew Golden, 4.29 40-yard dash. If that's not something that's going to, you know, raise the eyebrows of Jerry Jones, I don't know what will. He loves the headlines. He loves the popular pick. He's a guy that's gonna go with the mainstream. Matthew Golden is dramatically rising up boards, and deservingly so. He reminds me a lot of Victor Cruz coming out, where he's always been reliable, catches absolute everything, comes up in the clutch, and is just a great route runner and a guy that you can have some flexibility on the inside and outside. I love Matthew Golden's game. Probably the best route runner in this draft, right up there with Luther Burden. But what I love about Matthew Golden the most is how he's able to tempo his routes. It even came to the point where I had a question of his natural speed, his deep speed. I know he can go in and out of his breaks pretty cleanly. My thing was, can he get down the field in time? That was one of my negatives, honestly, was his deep speed, but he shut me up real quick with that 40 time, as he did the rest of the world, because nobody expected that. And Matthew Golden would be a great fit alongside CD Lamb. Again, he's not a guy where you're just going to put him, I think he can play the outside. He's savvy enough to play the outside. I know he's a little smaller, 6 foot, 195. I think that's like right around an outside receiver's range at this era in the NFL, but usually you get those guys are 6'1", 6'2", even 6'3", on the outside. I think he can play outside just fine and keep CD in the slot, or you can mix and match however they see fit. But he's going to be a burner. He's a savvy route runner. I like Matthew Golden this high, and I think Jerry Jones would pull the local kid over a guy like Ted McMillan. I just think that could happen. So the Miami Dolphins at 13. I'm gonna take Will Campbell here. I didn't talk to Bro Schmo, but I watch a lot of Bro Schmo. Love his draft content. I don't think he's very enthused with Will Campbell. He doesn't like small, he doesn't have like tall guards. He has a narrow base. Doesn't have the broad shoulders. Again, the arm length is a bit of a problem. And you know how the running scheme, outside zone, wide zone running scheme that they run in Miami. However, they could use offensive line help pretty much anywhere, and I think they'll find a role for Will Campbell. Again, it's just the cards that they've been dealt right now. It's a little bit of a forced pick, I would say. I don't think they would want to let go of Will Campbell, as he fell to them all the way to 13. Don't think they would want to get rid of him that fast or allow him to slip away when he fell right to them. So let's see if that works. Indianapolis can just stick and pick right here and go Tyler Warren. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We know a team like the team like the Denver Broncos love trading up in draft. They do it quite often. They just get the guy that they want. Who would be the guy that they want? So let's see here. Denver Broncos, we're just gonna make something up here. I mean, a 3rd round pick to move up. That looks fine. So we're gonna offer that trade up. We're gonna get it. And now the Broncos have the 14th overall pick, and you would think it would be Tyler Warren, right? They're gonna get Tetairoa McMillan. I don't know why nobody's talking about. I know it even says it on the needs right here. Nobody's talking about how the Denver Broncos have absolute poverty at wide receiver right now. It's not good. The fact that Bo Nix was able to work with that group is absolutely insane. If you add a guy like Tetairoa McMillan, I don't know what you're going to do with Courtland Sutton in the future. He's always been a guy that's like potential trade guy. Ted McMillan is your clear number one. If Courtland Sutton goes, leaves or whatever. But even if you have Courtland Sutton there, I mean, that is a great duo. Yes, can they benefit from getting a guy like Tyler Warren? Sure. But if we're talking about legitimately helping out Bo Nix and being a dynamic threat, I think Tet is a guy you can't miss on. I would take Tet in the top 5. I don't know if I would take Tyler Warren in the top 5. You got to weigh out those options, and Ted McMillan shouldn't have fell this far. You got to take advantage over, guys that could take him. The Bengals could take him. I don't know who else could. The Seahawks can take him. They're planning on moving on from the DK Metcalf, and they already got rid of Tyler Lockett, so they can go wide receiver again. So you never know. So let's go with the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have an interesting set of selections here. I've had them taking Malachi Starks in the past. I've had them taking Luther Burden in the past because I think he would be a great fit there in Atlanta. I'm going to have them going a guy that I didn't think was going to drop this far, Will Johnson. He's falling on a lot of boards. Maybe it's the injury. I don't like the excuse of the deep speed. I think it's a stupid excuse. I think it's an excuse because people are trying to look for a legitimate excuse. It shouldn't be one. We've seen a guy like Kamari Lassiter. I don't want to say he fell. He's a guy that I always thought was like a late first rounder. He fell into the second round because a lot of people had his concerns about the deep speed. Can he keep up with guys downfield? He seemed to be just fine with the Texans. He had a phenomenal rookie season for where he was drafted. I don't think the deep speed, I think we're looking too much into it. I really think we are. So Will Johnson is going to be a blessing for them. You can put him right next to AJ Terrell and get a good cornerback duo there. No shame in getting a number 2 corner with the 15th overall pick and shore up that secondary. You could go, James Pierce or something like that, but there are character concerns with James Pierce, and we'll get into him later. All right, so we're going to go with the Arizona Cardinals. I kept doing Kenneth Grant to the Arizona Cardinals because it just makes a lot of sense. Shout out to the Arizona Cardinals as fans as well that were coming at me last year as well for having you to. I didn't even know who I had you take over and over again. I know eventually you guys. Who did you guys take? I think you guys took Darius Robinson in the second round. And you guys swore to me that you guys didn't need defensive line help because you guys drafted. You guys signed all these like free agent guys that are now free agents again, and they weren't good anyway. So, besides the point, I'm not trying to have beef with anybody. Here's another one that I think makes a lot of sense. Josh Simmons. I know he's coming off a little bit of an injury, right? But off a torn patellar tendon. That's a nasty injury, but apparently he's on schedule. He's ahead of schedule as far as coming back, and he's going to be paired up with his mate back in Ohio State with Paris Johnson. I believe they played together in 2022 when Paris Johnson was a left tackle, I believe, or was he a right tackle? Josh Simmons played right tackle in 2022, so he has experience playing right tackle. Whether you want to put Paris Johnson at left, right, who cares? Josh Simmons would be paired up with Paris Johnson, and you could get those Ohio State tackles playing together again. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals at 17. The Bengals get Tyler Warren. I think this is a no-brainer pick. Yes, do they need defensive help? They just released Sam Hubbard. They need cornerback help. Their defense was absolutely terrible. I get it. But Tyler Warren is like a no-brainer. He falls all the way to 17. You gotta take him, right? I mean, you gotta do it. So, Seattle with the 18th overall pick. I'm going with a little bit of a hopeful pick more than a actual prediction. I'm going to go Gray Zabel here. I think it makes the most sense. Seattle does not like paying attention to they didn't have a center for like the majority of their offseason. They just did not care to sign a center. Everybody kept mocking them to get a center because they would not sign one, and they got like someone off the streets. And then they drafted Christian Haynes, and I think the second round or so, and I loved Christian Haynes. Don't know how he's doing right now, but they still need a guard apparently. Gray Zabel is more of a hopeful pick more than what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to get flashy with it and get like a Jalen Walker, or they're going to get a wide receiver. They're going to draft Luther Burden or something like that. They love to get flashy there in Seattle and not pay attention to the offensive line. That's why Russell Wilson ultimately left. But I'm going to take Gray Zabel here. I think they learn from their mistakes and they keep it pushing. Jahad Campbell going at 19 to the Buccaneers. It makes the most sense. I don't want to spend too much time on it because you're going to see that pairing a lot, and so I think it makes the most sense. All right, the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of Colts fans may have wanted Tyler Warren here at the 14th overall pick. Well, you picked up you picked up another third round pick, and you still get a good player at the tight end position. We're gonna go Colston Loveland here at the 20th overall pick. I think we're going to look back at Colston Loveland and say, damn, he got drafted at the 20th overall spot. He could have gotten drafted a lot higher. I think he could be an a dynamic threat out the gate for any team that drafts him. He is an underrated run blocker. I don't know why nobody talks about that. Underrated run blocker, and he's not a guy where you're gonna see on the field he's like, oh, he ain't blocking. He's going out for a pass, no doubt. He can run block, and he can chip. He can get open pretty well. He's got great hands, and he's pretty quick off his breaks. So I love the pick. And hopefully Colts fans do as well, because I know they really love themselves in Tyler Warren. So trying to wane you off of that a little bit. Try to put you back in your place. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Luther Burden. Luther Burden, if he had a better quarterback, this guy would be drafted in the top 5. I swear. Luther Burden's one of the most talented wide receivers in this draft. I love him. People kept comparing Travis Hunter to Odell Beckham Jr. as a wide receiver. You're out of your mind. If anybody in this draft compares to Odell Beckham Jr., it's Luther Burden. Love his game. Absolutely love his game. He's a gamer. Absolute gamer. Plays a lot bigger than he is. Had a phenomenal combine. Ran a 4.41 at the combine. Over 200 pounds. You don't see that every day. So he has a great mix of power at the wide receiver position along with speed. So we're going to move on here to the next pick, and we're going to go Kenneth Grant to the Chargers. Yes, they just released Joey Bosa. They could go, and get James Pierce, because they got old man Khalil Mack still there. They could go and do that. We'll see what happens, what they do in free agency. But Kenneth Grant makes a lot of sense here. Obviously, you got the Michigan connection with him and Jim Harbaugh, and they need interior defensive line help desperately. They run a 3-4 system. Kenneth Grant most likely projects to a nose tackle, so he fits right in there. This is just a no-brainer type pick. Let's go to the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people have the Vikings getting Amari Hampton here. I love Amari Hampton. I had him going to I had him going to the Washington Commanders in my last mock draft. I think he's hit or miss as far as a first-round pick goes. I just think teams are just not valuing running back, and there are just plenty of other needs that need to go around. So, I don't know. We're at Green Bay. I'm sorry. I almost picked for Minnesota. We're at Green Bay. I am sorry. I don't know how I just skipped right over Green Bay. Sorry, Green Bay fans. Don't know why I did that. So, as far as the Green Bay Packers goes, I think they already released Jair Alexander. I don't remember. But Jair Alexander is probably not going to be part of their future. Even if that was the case, they need help on their secondary badly. They could go in the wide receiver direction, but do you know if Green Bay has ever been a team to draft a first-round wide receiver? Not ever. I've never seen it happen. They're not going to do it. All right? They're like Nick Saban. I'm not gonna, so quit asking. They're not going to draft a guy like Emeka Egbuka. They're not going to is there any other wide receivers we're taking? No, not really. It's probably Emeka Egbuka, and that's it with that 23rd overall pick. But I'm going to have to get Jedi Barron here. I think he's fell far enough. I think he's a lot better of a prospect than the 23rd overall pick. But you know how the draft goes. All right, Minnesota fans, I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not going to have you drafting another safety out of Georgia for it inevitably not to work out. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I'm not going to have you selecting Malachi Starks. However, I am going to have you getting a guy that is an absolute game wrecker in Walter Nolan. He's another guy where I don't feel like he deserves to fall this far. That is just kind of where the board has been leaning to. He can go a lot higher. He can be a guy that's drafted all the way to Dallas or even San Francisco at 11. They need defense. They need a little bit of defensive interior help, and you want to keep that. You want to keep that unit strong. You got Brian Flores over there that absolutely just cooked with that defense. It was so fun to watch, and with Walter Nolan being such a game wrecker that he is, he can add another element to their game. And they can continue their dominant defensive front. So you got Walter Nolan there. With the 24th overall pick. This one's a fun one. I haven't done it yet because I've always had an instance where this guy's either taken to the Steelers, to I think I had to the Chargers, to the Packers. So those three, 21, 22, 23, I've always had this situation going for that. But in this case, I can finally do it. Emeka Egbuka gets back with CJ Stroud in Houston. I love this. I know Christian Kirk just got traded to the Texans. I don't care. I think Emeka Egbuka would be a fun pick. I think it's something that CJ Stroud would vouch for. I think it's something that he's going to petition for the Texans, Nick Caserio, to consider to get his guy, Emeka Egbuka, and you can bring him along. I don't know what the future is with Stephon Diggs over there. You got Tank Dell, who's going to miss all of next season. So you pretty much just have Nico Collins there to be a good option. So you're going to bring in Christian Kirk. You could bring in Emeka Egbuka as well. All right, the next pick, we're going to go with the Los Angeles Rams, and this one's another fun one, and I was shocked to see him fall this far, even though I think this is where the range I think he should be drafted. I just don't think he will be drafted this low, but Jalen Walker. Here's the thing about Jalen Walker. I love him as a prospect. If I'm a defensive coach, I want to get this guy on my team because I want to throw him around at different positions. Pause, and see where he fits best, right? Because I think he's a good linebacker. I really do think it's not like he's not an NFL linebacker. I think he could play the NFL linebacker position. He moves extremely well. But to me, the arm length, the bend, the burst, the speed, the power, the ability to get around the corner, he has all the tools to be a pass rusher. There's just not enough film on him to just say, hey, Jalen Walker, I want you to be, here are the Carolina Panthers on the phone. We want you to be the 8th overall selection, and we want you to be the star pass rusher for this team. Jalen Walker is not that. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to draft very high, have high expectations for, and expect him to have 8 to 10 sacks as an edge rusher off the bat. He's just not that player yet. He needs to develop a lot. He doesn't have much experience. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing over there as an edge rusher. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. You got to unlock that in him first. I think he's going to drop for that reason, but he's a guy, they could use linebacker help as well. He's a guy that can play linebacker if you need him to, and then have a couple of snaps as an edge rusher. He doesn't need to be your star edge rusher right off the bat. You have I forgot off the bat who you guys have over there. I know you have Byron Young. He's a young, talented edge rusher, and I know you have another one over there. Then you have in the interior, you got guys like Kobe Turner, I believe his name is, and then Braden Fisk, who I was really high on last year. So you have a lot of guys on that defensive line. You could still use help there, and you can get a good rotation in. So I like Jalen Walker going to the Los Angeles Rams. And on top of that, you don't really have a tackle problem anymore because you signed Alaric Jackson to a contract, which I don't agree with. I think you should have just moved on. But to each their own. All right, so the Baltimore Ravens, I kept having this be Nick Emanwari, but look who falls to them at 27, Malachi Starks. Yes, they have Kyle Hamilton, and I know that Malachi Starks will kind of play a similar role to Kyle Hamilton, but you put those two together and just let them work, let them roam around, let them do what they got to do. They're both. Kyle Hamilton is one of the most instinctual, smart safeties I've ever scouted in my entire life. Same thing with Malachi Starks. I don't think Malachi Starks has all the athleticism in the world. I just think he's really smart, and he's a ball hawk. So I like him. And I think he'll be a good pairing there with the Baltimore Ravens and Kyle Hamilton. All right, the Detroit Lions. This would be a feel-good story here, right? I don't know too much about James Pierce and his personal history, but apparently he's an ass, right? He is a terrible teammate. Nobody likes playing with him, apparently. That's what the rumors that's going around, and that's why a lot of people have him dropping. James Pierce was like in my top 10 as far as talent goes in this draft. I have him dropping all the way down. A lot of people have that as well. Maybe that's just a guy they don't want to deal with. If there is one team that's going to sit there and say, I love this guy, I love what he can do on the field, I know he has problems as far as being a teammate and character concerns, but we can get it out of him. Let's bring him to our family. Let's incorporate him in. Let's make him a part of us, and let's see if we can change his heart around. That would be the Detroit Lions. That would be Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell going over there, and needing an edge rusher alongside Aiden Hutchinson and still transforming the mindset of James Pierce Jr. I think this would be such a good landing spot for James Pierce Jr. to like develop as a person along with being an edge rusher. I think this would be a great fit for them. I think if there's one team that can draft James Pierce Jr. and not worry about character concerns, it's gonna be a guy like Dan Campbell. I think that'll be a fun challenge for him to work with James Pierce. So that would be great. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to say James Pierce is like the worst guy in the world or anything like that, but apparently he's legitimately falling off of boards because of character concerns. He's not like in trouble or anything. Like, I know Mike Green has some allegations and stuff like that, but James Pierce just is an asshole apparently. So I don't know. All right, the Washington Commanders. I don't like this for them because I'm scared that this actually works out. But Mikael Williams is a guy that I think is going to fall dramatically. I really do not get the hype of him being drafted in the top 10. I don't get it. I know he has all the tools, similar enough to Jalen Walker. I just don't see it. He was fighting off an injury last year. I get it, but he was rotational. His pass rush numbers, his advanced statistics are not good at all. We're talking about like 11. His true pass rush grade, his true pass set pass rush grade is less than his pass rush grade. It's always supposed to be higher because they take away like screens and play action and stuff like that versus true pass rush grade. It's lower. The percentage is lower. I think it's like 11%. It's terrible. But he has a lot of tools. He has great burst off the line. He's violent hands, powerful guy. He's a guy you can put on the inside and outside. I get that. There's going to be a defensive coordinator that falls in love with him. I don't like Mikael Williams like that. I have a second round grade on him, and I'm unapologetic about it. But I think Washington can get that out of him. And I think they have a strong defensive unit where he doesn't need to be the number one guy. And he can get mixed into that rotation. And they've done a good job in mixing in rotations with their defensive players where that front seven absolutely played out of their mind last year. So adding him into the mix and developing him as well would benefit them greatly. All right, the Buffalo Bills. I considered a trade for the Washington Commanders to trade out of the first round to gain some picks, but and I had Tennessee jumping up and getting Jackson Dart. I thought that would have been a fun little trade there. But with Mikael Williams being on the board, he's probably not going to be on the board by the time Washington picks again. Because you have teams like Philadelphia. You don't want to just give them Mikael Williams. The Chiefs can take him. The Buffalo Bills can take him. I think they just stick and pick here and they don't trade. That was my third trade that I thought about incorporating, but we're going to skip out on that. The Buffalo Bills. Let's see if we can try to recreate what the magic that we used to see from Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. The best safety duo I've ever watched. Like both of them together, it was fun. I mean, of course, you have Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. That was the Legion of Boom. That they're in their own stratosphere. But like just consistent play, and I thought it was fun how they were both free agents and they came to this team and they were good together for a long time. So you could try to recreate that with Taylor Rapp and a very athletic safety, Nick Emenwari, who's rising up of boards. I know a lot of people have him going in the top 20. I don't see him being that good. I like him. I don't think he's that phenomenal of a prospect, but I like the fact that he ran an extremely fast 40 time. I think he was somewhere in the 4.4s or something like that. And he's like 220 pounds at 6'3" as well. So he's one of a bigger safety. I just don't think he's much of a hard hitter. I don't think he's great against diagnosing the run. I don't think he's great in pass coverage as well. But I think he can move pretty well for his size, and I think you can move him around. As far as being safety. So I think you can work with that. And DeMar Hamlin being a free agent, not that he was great anyway, but you could find a spot for Nick Emenwari, life after DeMar Hamlin. No pun intended. Kansas City Chiefs, this is a no-brainer pick for me. You go Josh Connerly. To me, the best true pass protector in this draft. Think Charles Cross. That's my pro comp to Josh Connerly. And this is just a no-brainer type pick here at all. And then my last pick, I was going back and forth between Nick Skirton and Donovan Izaraku. I love Nick Skirton. There's just a question of consistency. He had a down year with Texas A&M, and then you look at Donovan Izaraku, who is, I don't know what his combine weight was. I don't know if he was at the combine. I didn't look at his combine numbers or anything like that, but 6'2", 247. He's on the smaller side. They already have kind of a smaller guy like Nolan Smith, where he's kind of like a speed dude. They might want to get a little bigger there. So you can go Nick Skirton, but at the same time, there's consistency concerns with Nick Skirton and as far as where he's going to play at as far as his weight goes. So that's why I'm just going to go Donovan Izaraku for now, and you know, let's see if Philly fans like it. I don't give a fuck if Philly fans don't like it, okay? So that being said, that is the mock draft. Let me know what you guys think about it. Sorry if I was yapping for a long time. I had fun making this one. A lot of different picks than what I've seen from other mock drafts. So if you guys appreciate it, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. And yeah, more content coming your way. If you guys are Giants fans, we'll have a Giants mock draft coming in the near future. And that being said, we'll see you guys in the next video.